Happy New Year and a warm welcome to you all. Today we are going to study one of the most famous and powerful plays ever written, that is Oedipus Rex by the ancient Greek playwright Sophocles. This is not just an old story, but it is a gripping tragedy about a great king named Oedipus who is desperately trying to save his country from a devastating plague. While searching to find out the truth and save the country, a terrible secret about his own identity is revealed before him. What is the terrible secret of his own identity that we can reveal sometimes later? And not only that, and you have heard of the word plague. Do you know what is plague? And plague is an epidemic and which is symptomized by high fever, headache and so and so. And if there is possibility of death when plague grips a place or a person. From what I told you, that we are going to study the story of great king Oedipus Rex. Rex is a Latin word and the meaning of Rex is king. However, we can reveal the terrible truth revealed before the king or our hero later on, and let us study this masterpiece and which has captivated and challenged the audience for more than 2000 years. Oedipus Rex stands as the best example of classical tragedy. Aristotle, the great philosopher, praised Oedipus Rex as a perfect tragedy because all the theoretical elements needed for a tragedy is included in this play. That is hamartia, then we can see peripetia, anagnorisis and also catharsis. All these elements we can very well see in this play. Oedipus Rex, through the masterful use of irony, fate and moral complexity, explores the limits of human power, the power of destiny and the tragic consequences of human pride. And all these elements are being explored through this play. Now, we can look into the play. When we look into the play, we can very well see the play consisted of a prologue and 3 episodes. The play Oedipus Rex opens in the city of Thebes, which is suffering from a terrible plague. The land has become barren. Crops have failed. cattle are dying, women are unable to give birth. Death and despair hang over the city, creating an atmosphere of fear and emergency. This disastrous situation forms the opening scene, or we can say the prologue of the play. The play begins in the city of Thebes, which is suffering from a terrible plague. As a result of the devastating plague, the land has become barren. Crops have already failed to grow, and cattle are dying, and women are unable to give birth. That is, many women in the city has become barren. And all these are the situation or disastrous situation prevailing in the city of Thebes. Then we can see the citizens of Thebes gather before the royal palace carrying olive branches, symbols of supplication. We know olive branch is a symbol of supplication. Supplication means humble and earnest request. And that is with a request they are coming to the royal palace and beg their king Oedipus to save them from the devastating plague. They look upon Oedipus as a powerful and compassionate ruler because he once rescued Thebes by solving a riddle of Sphinx. And for a long time, Thebes was preoccupied with the menace of Sphinx. A Sphinx in Thebes were used to ask a riddle to a passerby. And if the passerby cannot give the answer, and he will be devoured by the Sphinx. The riddle he asked to the persons were, what is a creature that walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the noon, and 3 legs in the evening? Many persons could not give the answer. Nobody could solve the riddle. And at last, when Oedipus, the great hero, happened to come to Thebes. How did he come to Thebes? That we can later on discuss. And he solved the riddle of Sphinx and saved the country or rescued the people from the terrible Sphinx. Their presence shows to people's complete faith in Oedipus as their savior. Now, we have got an idea about the disastrous situation due to the devastating plague in Thebes. And death and despair hang over the city, creating an atmosphere of fear. That is fear and an emergency situation. Now, you can see Oedipus appears before the suffering people. Oedipus appears before the suffering people and reacts with a deep concern and responsibility towards them. Now, by our hero, tragic hero, when Oedipus appears before the suffering people, and reacts with deep concern and responsibility. He assures them that their pain troubles him more than his own troubles, and he has already taken action to find a remedy for the panic-stricken situation. He has sent Creon, his brother-in-law, that is the brother of his wife Jocasta, to the oracle of Apollo at Delphi to discover the cause of the plague. But now, our hero Oedipus is seen entering, and he shows deep concern and a responsibility to the people. He assures them that the pain of the people pains him more than his pains, and he has already taken action to find a remedy for the situation. The action he has taken is he sent his brother-in-law Creon to the oracle of Apollo, oracle of Delphi, to find out a remedy for the disease. Sometimes later you can see Creon returns with the oracle's divine decree or message. The Creon says that the plague in Thebes is caused by the murder of Thebes. The murderer is not yet punished. But in order to lift the plague, the murderer should be found out and banished from Thebes or killed. But otherwise, plague cannot be lifted. The murderer is a Theban, and he should be found out and banished. There is a remedy sent by oracle of Delphi to Creon. By hearing the message from Creon, Oedipus immediately was to learn the reason for the plague and cleanse the city, finding the criminal. And he was that he will take immediate necessary action to cleanse the city by finding the criminal. But at that time, he does not understand that his investigation will lead to his own downfall. There you just remember, Oedipus is determined to investigate, to find out the murderer. And this investigation will lead to his downfall. This thing Oedipus does not know that time. Thus, the prologue introduces the central conflict of the plague. This is the central conflict in the plague. The prologue introduces the central conflict in the plague. The research for truth reveals Oedipus as a committed king whose determination to save his city ultimately leads to his own downfall. Here, from what I told you, you might have got the idea that this story is a gripping tragedy about a great King Oedipus to save his country by an investigation. But this investigation, we can see before long, that causes his downfall. That is what I told you about the terrible secret about the identity of Oedipus. His search for finding out the truth or finding out the truth about the past crime, that causes his own downfall. This is what we have to know as an introduction. Then we can see why the prologue is so important. I told you the play is comprised of a prologue, then 3 episodes. Now we are discussing about the prologue. The prologue establishes the crisis, or the prologue introduces the crisis in Thebes. Among the people who gathered there was a priest. The priest has given a description about the panic-stricken situation of the people in plague to Oedipus. The speech vividly describes the Black Death, or we can say here plague, ravaging Thebes. The city was ravaged by the Black Death or plague. What was the situation in plague there? Blight on crops. That crops do not grow. Stillborn birth of livestock. That is the death of the animals. Many women becoming barren. All these are the ravages caused by plague in the city. So when we discuss the importance of plague, we can very well understand the prologue establishes the crisis in Thebes. Really speaking, the city is drowning in bloody tide. The immediate physical suffering creates urgency and justifies the place's central investigation. And we know the immediate physical suffering of the people creates urgency and justifies the place's central investigation. And not only that, another important point we have to discuss about the prologue is that the prologue establishes Oedipus's status, and you have to get an idea how great Oedipus is. The people of Thebes consider him as their savior. And we can look into the words of priest about Oedipus. The priest reminds of his past greatness to the people and before him. The priest, while speaking, elaborates the greatness of Oedipus. He is the wisest in the ways of God and a savior, and he is a savior who freed Thebes from the Sphinx by his own intellect and not through divine omens or bird's law. And here what we have to understand is that the intellect of Oedipus was so great that he has solved the riddle that no other person could save. He solved this riddle by his own intellect, not through divine omens or bird's law. This establishes his reputation as a supremely capable, rational, and confident ruler. And you just remember that all the previous incidents, that is, saving the Thebans from the clutches of Sphinx, definitely reflects that he is a rational, confident ruler. The people view Oedipus as almost gods-like. They regard him as the god. There is such a high status is that of Oedipus, that you should remember that before we got to see the investigation on the part of Oedipus. Now, we know the message sent by the oracle to Creon. The reason for the plague, according to the oracle of Apollo, was the murder of Laius. The remedy was to find out the murderer of Laius and banish him from Thebes. Now, we also know the vow taken by Oedipus to cleanse the city by finding the murderer. Now, as a first step of his investigation, he asks the people who gathered before the royal palace whether any one of them has any information related to the murder of Laius. And if anyone has any information about the murder or about the murder, please come forward and reveal. The punishment will be only banishment. No capital punishment will be given to anyone who revealed the secret. But nobody responded. All of them kept silence. Then Oedipus asked, I again implore you whether the murderer of Laius is a person among the people who gathered here. Even if the murderer is here, he can also come forward and confess the guilt. The only punishment will be the banishment. Again and again, the King Oedipus asked the people, but nobody had any information about the murderer or about the murder. Then among the people who gathered there were senators also. One of the senator suggested to seek the help of Tiresias, the blind prophet. Tiresias is a great prophet and he is a very, very important character in Greek mythology and in Greek drama. And Oedipus calls Tiresias to find a solution for this plague. Speaking about Tiresias, you can see he is a blind prophet of Thebes. Where according to myth, he lived both a man and woman. Where after being transformed by gods, where however God Apollo had given all blessing to him, and he also had the blessing of the god Zeus. And Oedipus decided to seek the help of Tiresias. Where accordingly, Tiresias is called to solve the problem. Now, when Tiresias came to Thebes to solve the disaster of plague, he felt uneasiness You see, Tiresias, although he is a blind prophet, he has inner vision. He has the ability to see through his mind. A person of inner vision. When he reached in Thebes, he immediately understood the truth. So he told himself, I should not have come here. Let me go. And he kept silence without giving an answer to Oedipus. When Oedipus became angry and he asked Tiresias to tell the truth, Oedipus says, I have nothing to say and let me go. Then Oedipus got annoyed when Tiresias did not help him. And Oedipus began to scold him or rebuke him. He began to say, you are a fake prophet. They have no ability to see anything. For example, when Thebes was suffering from the menace of Sphinx, they could not solve the problem. You could not solve the riddle of the Sphinx. But instead, it was I who solved the riddle. And he rebuked Tiresias by telling that you are a sightless, senseless, shameless sort. Still, Tiresias did not say anything. Then Oedipus accused him of making a conspiracy with Creon against him. That time, Tiresias lost his temper and he told Oedipus, the killer whom you are searching is you yourself. The killer whom you are searching is you yourself. That means you are the killer of Laius. Then you are the brother and father of your children at the same time. You are the husband. You are the husband and a son to the same woman. All this indicates that Oedipus himself is the killer of Laius and he is the husband of his mother, and the children born to Oedipus and his wife Jocasta. He is the father and also the brother. All these provoked Oedipus, and Oedipus became very angry, and he accused Tiresias of hatching a conspiracy against him with Creon. And by saying these words, that what Tiresias said was a heavy insult to Oedipus. He became confused and he became angry, and he does not know what to do. Tiresias meanwhile left the place, and Oedipus was totally confused and he does not know what to do. Then Oedipus accused Creon of hatching conspiracy with Tiresias. Sometimes later, Creon approached Oedipus and asked, "Why you accused me of a conspirator against you? I didn't do anything against you so far. I am not a conspirator. I always supported you," Creon told to Oedipus. But Oedipus was totally provoked, and he accused Creon again and again that you are a conspirator against me, and I will definitely punish you, and I will issue death sentence against you. Oedipus threatened Creon, and there arose an instant and a heavy quarrels between Oedipus and Creon. That time, Oedipus's wife, Jocasta, she was also the wife of Laius, or she is the widow of Laius. The widow of Laius and also the wife of Oedipus tries to calm him, and defending Creon. She says that, "Creon, my brother, is not a conspirator. He will not do anything against you. So you please don't be provoked." And she asked Oedipus, "Why? Why you are so uneasy? Why you are so angry?" To that, Oedipus described the quarrel between him and Tiresias. He told that Tiresias has accused me of the murder of Laius and the husband of mother. By hearing this, Jocasta says, "Prophets are unreliable." She says, "The prophets are not reliable." That is, the predictions of the prophets are not believable. They are not reliable. For example, she recounts a prophecy to her former husband Laius. The prophecy was that he would be killed by his own son. The prophecy to Laius, the former husband of Jocasta, was that Laius would be killed by his own son and he would marry his mother. Two predictions are there. One is the killing of his father and marrying his mother. To prevent this prediction being fulfilled, they exposed their infant on a mountain. The name of the mountain is Citeron. Infant son on a mountain with his ankles pinned or ankles tied or pinned together. The meaning of Oedipus is a man with a swollen feet. The ankles of the infant son of Laius and Jocasta were pinned and he was sent. The infant was sent through a servant to be exposed on a mountain, to be died by natural calamity or eaten by wild animals. Laius was later killed by robbers at a place where three roads met. Then Jocasta, in order to comfort, recalls a prophecy related to Oedipus and her. The prophecy was that the son of the royal couple will kill his father and marry his mother. In order to prevent this, Laius pinned the ankles of 3 days old infant and sent it to be exposed on a mountain to be killed by wild animals or by natural calamities. And not only that, Laius was killed not by the son as predicted by the prophecy, but he was killed by a group of travelers. He was killed by a group of robbers at a place where 3 roads met. From this, Jocasta where establishes unreliability of the predictions of the prophets. Now, all of us will think where Oedipus might be consoled by hearing the words of Jocasta. But the situation was not so. When Jocasta narrated the story of the murder of his former husband, she mentioned a place, 3 roads met. She told that where Oedipus was killed by a band of robbers at a place where 3 roads met. Hearing the description of 3 roads, hearing the description of the place where 3 roads met, that is a crossroads. And the circumstances of the murder makes Oedipus uneasy. Hearing the mention of Laius's murder at a place where 3 roads met made Oedipus Oedipus uneasy. He became uneasy there. Because Oedipus now recalls killing a group of travelers at a place where 3 roads met. Shortly after, before arriving in Thebes, see, Oedipus recalls killing a group of travelers at a place where 3 roads met before arriving in Thebes. A murder that allowed him to become the king of Thebes and marry Jocasta. The murder of Laius and the solving of the riddle of the Sphinx helped Oedipus to become the king of Thebes and marry Jocasta. Now, when Oedipus is uneasy, that he is totally in tension, what to do? Then he asked Jocasta how Laius looked like. Jocasta says, he was very tall. He was a very tall figure, and he looked like you. Then asked how old he was. Jocasta replies, he was an aged man, which indicates there was a grey hair on his head. Now, Oedipus recalls and he now feels doubt that the man he killed were along with the other travelers is Laius. And now he wanted to know whether there was any eyewitness to the murder. Jocosa says there was one eyewitness who was the only survivor in the incident. That survivor, who was once a shepherd, has come to me after the murder of Laius and asked him to continue his job as a herdsman. And she told that I have allowed him to do the job. And now Oedipus says that person, that shepherd, should be found out. Jocosa says, as per the order, she is ready to send a messenger to find out the shepherd. Now, the former eyewitness is a shepherd and messengers are sent to fetch him. Now we can stop here, and tomorrow we can continue the later part of the play. And now we stop. Thank you very much.